Hey guys, here's a quick little tutorial of how to do the Meteorologist Mania project. So there's two documents that you're going to be working off of. There's this Meteorologist Mania slides presentation, and then there's also your instructions that kind of are multicolored like this and looks like this. So basically, Meteorologist Mania, let me just put this back here, is a chance for you to basically make a weather report or practice making a weather report using the various symbols and information that we've been learning. So we're going to use air masses, we're going to use high and low pressure systems, and then the different kinds of fronts. If you take a look at your instruction sheet, you have a lot of choices in this project. You can designate your news station name and make it whatever you want. You can choose the maps you want to use. You can pick the locations you want the weather to occur. You select what symbols you want to use. You basically select your meteorologist, and it can be something different or someone different every single slide. And then you're also going to determine what the meteorologist will say. So that's kind of just the intro part of the Meteorologist Mania, or it's really the second page of instructions, or kind of the first if you have paper. Um, and then here, this multicolored one tells you what you're going to need. So if you look over on the left-hand side, it'll say the slide topic. So there's one for air masses, high and low pressure, a cold front, warm front, stationary, and there's one just for fun. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 slides you're responsible for making. And for each slide, it's going to tell you what should go on the map portion of it, and then what should go in the talk bubble. So what is going to be on the map that somebody would see on the green screen, like when they look at the news, and then what goes in the talk bubble, what the meteorologist or the person sharing the weather would be talking about. So let's look at how this is set up. So if you go to Meteorologist Mania, there's just a kind of like a cover sheet, okay, showing you all these different meteorologists here. And then there's two sample slides of what it should look like, of what something should look like, okay? Then on slides 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, yeah, on 4 through 9 are just all these different templates you can use. You can absolutely use anything else, but we wanted to give you a couple quick maps that you could use, a couple quick symbols that you can use for whatever you want. So if you look on slide 4, you've got a map of Illinois, you got the United States. If you want to do the Chicagoland area, that's 5. 6 has more United States maps. 7 has United States maps and the labels for air masses. 8 has all these different symbols for the fronts, and then 9 has talk bubbles. And again, you don't have to use these, but these are nice, easy ones to grab, to cut and paste, and be able to create something off of. Okay, once you get to slide 10, you'll notice that it says slides to complete for the project starts below. So the 6 slides you have to make, so 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and then we'll talk about 16 is kind of just a fun random one, is what your project is, okay? And to know what to do for each slide, it's really simple. All you have to do is just go to the instructions and see what has to go on the map. So let's look at this first slide, for example. It says it's about air masses, okay? So it says what goes on the map. You need to have 2 air masses, see slide 7 for options, placed in the correct spots in the United States. So I'm going to have to take 2 kinds of air masses that form in the US based on what I know about the equator and the poles and marine, wet and dry continental. And then if you look at what it says for what goes in the talk bubbles, I'm going to have 2 talk bubbles total. And in each talk bubble, I need to name the air mass, tell what the state it's located near. Oh, there goes my circle of death. And then name the 2 kinds of air it will bring to the area. Okay, so this tells me exactly what I have to have. In fact, this is the rubric we're going to use when we grade it. So when I go to look at your project, I'll say, okay, did they put 2 air masses in the correct spot in the United States? Then in each talk bubble, because you have to have 2 total in each one, did you tell me the name of the air mass? Did you tell me what state it's located near? And did you name the 2 kinds of air it will bring, like cold and wet, or warm and dry, based on what we learned? And we would encourage you to use any of your notes. So you did a weather patterns reading that really closely relates to all these topics. Go back to that, go back to your question sheet, go back to the reading. Any of that will help you. Okay. So let's see what that should look like. So if you go over back to Meteorologist Mania, the first two slides, technically slide 2 and 3, are example slides showing you what it should look like. Okay. So if you take a look at this one, I chose to use the US map, okay, which is what you're supposed to use. But I have two talk bubbles. So it says a polar continental air mass is forming over the state of Ohio. Or I'm sorry, Idaho. So I placed it by where Idaho is. This will bring cold and dry air to the area. Okay. And this is what my meteorologist or my person is saying. Then I have a um a talk bubble for the tropical marine. So it says a tropical marine air mass is also forming over the Bahamas. This will bring hot and wet weather to those lucky travelers down there. So notice what I did. I said what kind of air mass it is. It was in the correct spot. It's also what kind of weather it brings, or what two kind of basically descriptors of the air mass. And then I put my meteorologist in there. So going back to my instruction sheet, it followed everything that I needed to have on there. Okay. And if you notice on yours, we started you off with having those fill in the blanks. So at first, so for this one, you'll just need to go and label it anywhere you want. You can't use the examples that we gave you. So you got to pick 2 other areas in the US. Again, we have notes and different activities that we did with this. You can look back at those notes. And then you're going to tell us the kind of air mass that forms over a certain state and what kind of weather it brings to it. So pretty easy. And then you're going to find whatever meteorologist you want. Obviously, it's got to be school appropriate, but you can be whoever you want to do the weather. And you can also change the US map. You can change the station if you want. Okay. Then as you get down to the other ones, this one's about high and low air masses. So you're going to need to have a talk bubble about both. Okay, so if you look at high and low pressure, you're going to have two talk bubbles and two symbols somewhere on the map. So again, following the directions is really important. Then we get down to the fronts. There's a cold front, a warm front, and a stationary front. So we have an example of that. This one is the fourth kind of front called an occluded front. But if you notice in the directions, it says you need to have the symbol of the cold front, right? The symbol of the weather it creates. And so what I would have to do is make sure I have a cold front symbol. So we talked about what the symbol looks like, and then a little picture of what the weather it creates. So if I go over to my example, I'll notice that here I have a whole bunch of stuff, right? I included cold front, I included cool weather, I had storms, I had what an occluded front looks like. Okay. So all of that stuff was in that area. And then I included where it was, right? Georgia and South Carolina. So it was also in the correct spot. So now let's look at my talk bubbles. What did I need to have? Name of the front, where it's located on the map, describe what a cold front is, and describe the weather it will create for people there. Okay, so then did my person do that? An occluded front is forming near Georgia and South Carolina. Yes, this is where a cold front wraps around a warm front. Folks here could experience nasty weather conditions like funnel clouds and rainstorms. Make sure to listen to your weather warnings and stay vigilant. So you can also kind of have fun with this and add little extras. But what we're going to look at and what we're going to grade you on is, did you include those things about the front? Okay. But there's an example on slide 3 of how to do one of the front slides. And again, I can pick who my meteorologist is. I can choose whatever kind of graphics or anything that I want for that. Okay, so what we suggest that you do is take it slide by slide. Take a look at the directions for one of the slides. Like if you're doing high low pressure slide, then you want to make sure that you follow those directions and do that one at a time, and maybe even go through and check it off. Especially if you have paper, that's really, really helpful. Um, and then when you get to the very last one, this is kind of, if you've ever watched the news before, they usually end with something fun. So it's about somebody who did a good deed, or it's about a ridiculous story like, hey, look at this is a water skiing squirrel. Let's watch him as he takes us out for the night. Everybody have a good rest of your week, or something. It's something kind of silly. It's something kind of random. For yours, it's obviously going to be school appropriate. But again, it's just kind of like the last little thing that you might tell somebody or say. And it can be a little meme, it can be a video, it can be whatever you would like. Sometimes they have kids send in pictures of, look at Bobby, he sent us a picture of a really beautiful sunset tonight, and that'll take us out for the evening. Thanks for joining us, or something like that. So you can type whatever you want to that extent in this talk bubble and then include a picture. So that's what the last one is. And if you look at the directions, you'll notice it's just for fun. So find a news appropriate video or picture, and then you can comment or come up with a clever caption to end the news broadcast. So you're basically pretending that you're creating a meteorologist report based on all the things that we've learned. Okay, so we cannot state this enough. Use the templates that are provided for you, but you can always change the talk bubble look. You can change the map in the background. You can change what station you're reporting from. You can change your meteorologist, but make sure you have all the things that are in the directions in there, because that's where your grade's going to come from. But have fun. Remember, at the very bottom, it says you are a professional. You are a professional on TV. You are a professional in front of your audience. So when you use the talk bubbles, make sure that you're including complete sentences. And remember, complete sentences start with a capital letter and end with punctuation. Okay. Any other questions? Please don't hesitate to ask your teacher. But this is a nice little demonstration of exactly what you're going to do for the next couple of days. Okay. Good luck.